Hey guys, what's going on? APL here. APL Fisher on Xbox Live, and I've got another video for you in this new series I'm doing where I help you guys improve your setup, hopefully make sure that you have Counter-Strike Source on settings that will will not nerf you and let you get right into the game and play effectively. One thing about PC gaming, I talked about it a little bit in the last video, but it's a lot more daunting than console gaming. So with having a lot of people come over to Counter-Strike or starting to get into Counter-Strike from watching my channel or other people that post PC gameplay, which is great, and I'm glad you guys are starting to. There's a lot of questions, obviously all the different settings that you can have, the visuals, the different registry settings in console, buy binds. I mean, there's just so many things in the Counter-Strike series and in PC gaming in general that affect you know, how the game performs and stuff like that. It can directly affect how well you do actually at the game. So just trying to demystify that with this series and help people, some new players out with some basic stuff. And even if you're a seasoned veteran of the series, like I said in the last video, hopefully you can glean some stuff from this. And I did real quick want to thank you guys for the amazing feedback I got in the last video. I think it's over 1,000 likes and it's like 9,000 or 10,000 views already. Loud and clear message that you guys really like the series and want more tips, which is great. So if you like this one as well, definitely make sure to like the video, and that enables more people to see the video. I've already gotten a bunch of messages thanking me for just showing some of the graphic settings and making sure you're running in default resolution. Really gotten some good feedback and had some good messages back and forth with people about this. So I really appreciate it, guys, as always, the support, and hopefully you'll be able to get a lot out of this. So and one other thing I wanted to know, I did see a little bit of flaming in the comments back and forth as far as what people's setups were and what they used. Really try to keep the flaming to a minimum. I understand, I don't want any flaming actually, not to a minimum. I mean, I'm going to block people that get out of hand. I really am. I'm not dealing with it. This is supposed to be constructive, and I did see a lot of people helping each other in the comments, which is really cool as well. I want that to continue. I want to foster that kind of stuff with the community I have on my channel. Help out someone who, you know, don't flame them if they have to ask a stupid question. It could be they're new to PC gaming. Help them out and you know, clarify, ask them what they're try to figure out what they're asking and do your best to help them out. So anyway, just wanted to say that. And in this video, I want to go a little bit over a bunch of different things. But let's first start out. A lot of people are asking me, because if you don't know much about computers, what system requirements do you need to run? Counter-Strike Source? All right, so this game was released in 2004. Obviously, we are in 2011 right now. So that's quite a few years since that hardware has changed since this game was released. So let me real quick read you the minimum specs as they were back in 2004. So minimum, 1.2 gigahertz processor, 256 megabytes of RAM, a DirectX 7 level graphics card, and Windows 2000 or Windows XP. So those are the system requirements. So as you know, if you know anything about hardware now, that has changed quite a bit. Let me read you the recommended settings here. That was back in 2004. 2.4 gigahertz processor, 512 megs of RAM, a DirectX 9 graphics card, and Windows 2000 or XP. So obviously that has changed quite a bit. But one thing that hasn't changed is that Counter-Strike Source is a very CPU-intensive game, much more so than a lot of other games. This game utilizes your central processing unit or your CPU way more than a lot of games on the market even nowadays. So your graphics card is not as big of a factor as it is in some other games like Crysis and stuff like that. But that being said, you still don't need it in the same processor to run. You can run this game pretty decently on a Pentium 4 processor. Any Core 2 Duo or dual core will run this game okay. You know, not on settings like I have because my system is pretty much maxed out. But I mean, very playable frame rates. Anything, I would say, if you can get 60 frames solid in Counter-Strike Source, you're doing fine. You're doing absolutely fine if you can stay at that frame rate. So I would say ideal is probably around 100. I cap my FPS at 100, my frames per second, which I don't really need to anymore, but that's just out of habit. But I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go on. Video card, you know, any video card within the last 3 years will run this game fine. So that's not a huge concern. I don't want to get into every single brand of video card you could have out there, but anything with, you know, 512 megabytes of RAM on the card, or memory on the card, not RAM on the card, will run this game pretty effectively. You might run into some problems depending on what resolutions you're playing on. So if you're playing on a resolution like right now, this is my native resolution on this monitor, which actually isn't even that high. This monitor is an older monitor. The Samsung I have, that is my second monitor, runs at a much higher resolution. But at 1440 by 900, you're going to have performance differences between this resolution because you're displaying, you know, a lot more than you are in the 720 or 1280 by 768 or whatever it is. This is a widescreen monitor, so So keep that in mind. So you might not be able to run the game at a native resolution. You might get really poor frame rates if you have a PC that's a little older. So just keep that in mind. You might have to drop down the resolution to compensate for that. But we're going to talk about that more. I keep saying that, but as we go on here. So let me read you real quick my PC specs. People keep asking about it, and I'll put up a little graphic here actually of my PC specs, and it's actually going to be in the description as well. My PC specs are as follows. I have an i7 2600K CPU. I overclocked that. That just means I actually okay, you know what? I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to read you what it is. I overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz. I have 8 gigs of Corsair XM8 1600 megahertz DDR3. I have a GTX 470 overclocked video card, and then the rest of that stuff's kind of not even important. And if you just tune me out there, that's more for the purist, and I'll put that in the comments, or sorry, in the description as well, as far as what my specs are. But real quick, let's go over some graphics properties of what I have mine set to. So as you can see here, I'm in the so I went into the menu and I went to video. That's my resolution. I have it on full screen, all that stuff. You can adjust your brightness levels within here if the game's too dark. And if you go into advanced options here, these are what my settings are. And these are obviously, everything's maxed out pretty much on this. If you have a system that's a little older, you're going to want to tweak these and you know, just trial and error, see what kind of first person FPS you get, frames per second, and all that kind of stuff. So those are just a real quick look at what I have. And let me go real quick. One other thing I wanted to note on the keyboard settings, which I didn't get in the last video, if you go to actually, it's under multiplayer. So go to the multiplayer tab and then go to advanced. This is something that's actually really important. You want to turn off, there's this option that says automatically switch to picked up weapons if more powerful. And basically that means if you're running across a weapon that is more powerful than the current one that you're holding, or you drop a weapon, it's just if you pick up a weapon that's more powerful than what you are holding, the game will automatically pick that weapon up for you. And I would say this is probably one of the worst features. Not worst features. I guess I could get. I don't get it, actually. I don't get why it's in the game. Make sure you uncheck that, because you'll die so many times if you have that checked, because you'll be running, you'll kill someone, and then let's say you have an MP5 or something, you'll pick up their AK, and while you were picking up their AK, which takes a couple seconds, a guy will run down and dig you in the face or something like that. Make sure that's unchecked. That's a really simple tip, but a big one. The rest of this stuff, you can turn off auto help. You don't really need any of that stuff. Show progress bar when diffusing C4. That's default. You wouldn't take that off. And some of this other stuff isn't really that big. Synchronize with the Steam Cloud synchronizes your settings with a server, so that when you reinstall the game, it has your config and stuff like that. And that's fine. You can leave that on. If you're a movie maker and stuff like that, you're going to want to turn that off. But that's a whole other video, because then yeah, we won't even get into that. But don't worry about that. So let's go now. That's all I wanted to show for now. We'll get into more advanced stuff in later videos as far as binding keys and stuff like that. Let's go real quick, though. I want to bring up the console. So in the last video, I showed you how to enable the console. You go to keyboard, you go to advanced, make sure enable developer console is checked. You hit OK, then you hit the key next to the tilde key, or however you pronounce it, and that brings up the console here. So the first thing we're going to do, let's talk a little bit about rates. So rates, you may have heard the term, maybe you haven't if you're new to PC gaming, but rates are, by most players, a little known thing when it comes to Counter-Strike Source, but they're very important. They basically govern the rate at which your computer sends and receives data from the server. So obviously the higher rate, the better. So if you're on a lower rate, you're getting less data back to you, and that affects hit registration and stuff like that. So not to get too technical on it, but you want to make sure your rates are correct. So I think by default your rates are set to 66 or 33, and that is too low. And I don't know, they might have changed that in some of these updates, but you want to make sure your rates are set to 100. So there's two commands for this. So the first one we're going to type in is CL _ update rate. Oh, it's on 20 right now, which is not correct. I don't have my my config currently loaded, because I took that out for this video. So you're going to want to set your CL update rate. So right now I guess it's set to 20 without my config in here. So we're going to set that to 100, and that's very important. You want to set that to 100. That's the max rate that you can have, and that ensures that you're going to be getting the best hit registration that the server can offer. Some servers are at 33 tick rates, some are at 66. You'll see that in the actual description of the server. Some are at 100. Try to play at ones that advertise that they're 100. You can't always, but those are going to have the best hit registration. You'll notice a huge difference between a 33 tick rate server and 100. It's a night and day. And then the other one that we want to check is CL_CMD rates, I believe. Update rate, I think. CL update rate. Yeah, that's the other update rate. No, update rate. Yeah. So we'll go here, and we're going to set this to 100 as well. So right there you can see, I don't know if you can see this, it's going to be kind of small, probably full screen the video. CL update rate 100 and CL update rate, oh, I just did, what the fuck am I doing? I did the same one twice. It was CMD rate. That's the other one. We're going to set this to 100 as well. Those are the two. So update rate and CMD rate. Set both of those to 100. Very important. If you don't have those set, you'll notice probably weak hit registration. Or you'll be like, I was shooting that guy a million times and he didn't die. Well, probably because your rates aren't set properly. So that's one thing. And there's actually, I'm going to get into I'm not going to do it in this video, but there's going to be a more advanced video where I show you how to set up a config, or a CFG as it's shortened to. And that is basically a text file that you can put all these commands in, and when you load up the game, it automatically loads it for you, and you don't have to worry about resetting all of these settings and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty important. So now that we've done that, I want to do another thing here. This video is going to get kind of long, probably around 15 minutes, but that's fine. I want to go and show you some stuff as testing your video settings and what kind of frames per second you're getting. We're going to create a server here real quick and go in. Let's do that right now as it loads up. And I just made just a local server. We're going to go to counter-terrorist forces, go in here. And so let's see right now. So you're like, okay, I'm curious. What kind of frame rates am I getting right now? So you go in, you hit the same key, the one next to your 1, the tilde key. It'll bring up the console that you've enabled if you followed the previous steps of my video. And the command you type to see what FPS you're getting is the following. It's CL_show FPS. And it will start to fill in as you start typing it. And then, see, right now it's set to 0. You hit space, then you hit 1, hit enter. And as you can see, oh, I have VSync enabled right now. That's why it's stuck at 60. You can see that it's stuck on 60. Let me change that, and it should unlock it. Oh, no, it's because I'm frapsing. I'm frapsing at 60 frames a second. So right now, yeah, it's the video is locked at 60. Typically, I'm getting 300. Constant, but right now since I'm frapsing, you'll see that's at 60. So this is a good determiner of what your FPS is. So you might have 100, it might say 200, 300. The max is 300 that it will actually display. And typically mine is set at 300 and it stays around there the entire time, no matter what I'm doing, if I'm in gunfights and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing to check. I would say if you notice it fluctuating, so let's say the real test of this, it might not be really accurate on a local server because you're not actually fighting anyone, and you're not getting like the different all the graphical effects and smoke and all that kind of stuff that's going on. So you want probably just go into a regular server, enable this command so that you see what FPS you're getting, and notice as it'll drop, it'll go up, it'll go down. My guess is if you have an average PC, and try to find what the medium is, and then cap your FPS at that. So let's say I was getting around 100 FPS, then like I go over here, oh, I'm in a gunfight, a guy starts shooting at me, I start shooting, my FPS goes down to 40 or 50. So that would be a lower end computer, which you know, I would so I would probably want to cap my FPS around you know, cap it at 30. I don't really recommend that. For me, the game feels weird at 30. You can definitely tell a difference. So I would probably cap it at 60 FPS just so that the drops aren't that huge. So if you get what I'm saying, so let's say right now I'm standing still, it's 150 FPS. Then, oh, I go over here. Here's a guy. Oh, look, he shot at me. My FPS just dropped to, you know, 35. You're going to feel that difference. You might not be able to see frame drops past 60, but you can feel them. And that's a big misconception. People say, oh, it doesn't matter. Your eyes can't see past. No, but you can feel it when you're playing the game. So if you want to lock your FPS at a certain frequency or whatever, or so the drops aren't that crazy, you go like this: FPS max. And right now you can see mine is set to 300. I guess I could unlock it and get more. Oh, okay, so that's what I have it locked on is 300. I typically have mine set to 101 because that is what one of the configs I used at one point was 101. You could set it to whatever. It could be 100. If you have a lower end system, like I was saying, and you stay around 60, it'll go from 100 to 60. Cap it at 60 FPS. So right there, FPS max 60. But you can see right now it won't let you set it since we're connected to a server, so you'd have to do that back in the menus. But also, things that will affect this are also the graphical settings, right? So if you notice, okay, well right now I'm getting, my frames aren't that good. I'm on my native resolution, and, I'm getting like 45, 50 FPS. Go in here, turn down these settings, make sure these are low. There's also FPS configs that you can get that will actually put the minimum, basically give you the minimum just total bare, the absolute bare necessities for displaying on this game, and it'll give you a big boost. I'm going to talk about that in the next video. But this one's getting a little long. Hopefully you could glean a little bit out of that. I know it's a little discombobulated. And I will see you in the next video. We'll get into some more advanced stuff. And I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far.